Hello fellow StarCraft 2 players, welcome to another IMBAbuilds guide. This time it's going to be the TVT 1-Rax Reaper FE build. Now this build is almost identical in terms of the early mid-game and late early game, if that's a thing, to the 1-Rax FE. That is probably the most popular build out there right now, except you get one up to 3, but usually 1 Reaper for scouting and for a little bit of light harass on your opponent's workers, as well as map control, and then a faster combat shields, as opposed to less Marines and a couple less SEVs than the 1-Rax FE. In essence, they're basically the same idea. You're going to be going for 3 barracks, a reactor at starport, 2 reactors on the barracks, and pumping out Marines and medevacs, and then going for a +1 stim combat shields timing attack. However, this one, as I said before, gets Reapers, so it is the Reaper FE. You start off, you get the 10 depot, just like normal. Keep making SCVs, never stop making SCVs, always, especially with expo builds such as this. And then you follow it up with a 12 barracks right there at 150 minerals, perfectly on cue. And as I said before, because we're making Reapers with this build, you're going to, at 13 supply, get the Gas Geyser. Boom, right there. 13 supply, get the Gas Geyser, and then continue building SCVs. Now, with all gas openers, gas first or non-gas first, just barracks first, whenever you get gas, you actually cannot afford to scout that early. And even though you may want to scout in TVT somewhat early, because you're getting this gas, you can't actually afford to constantly build SCVs and scout if you scout at around 10 supply in order to get into your opponent's base. So with this build, make sure to scout at 13, 14, 15. Anytime after that, some people scout after their barracks is done and send this guy out. Some people scout with 13 and just rally this worker out. Regardless, you want to make sure that you scout after you've started the Gas Geyser. Okay, so after your first Marine, and this Marine is in fact optional, you get a Tech Lab. You can either get the Tech Lab instantly at 25 gas, or you can just pump out the Marine and then make sure you are constantly making Reapers after that. The Marine definitely denies scouting significantly more than not getting it. If you see just a Tech Lab Drax with no Marine, then you can be assured that the guy is making Reapers. If you have this Marine in front, then sometimes the SCV doesn't get there up until this time, and they'll see this Marine and just leave because they realize, oh wait, I got there too late, there's a Marine already out, and not actually know that you're falling out with Reapers. So I personally like to get this Marine out, but it is definitely personal preference. After this Reaper, you should have 400 mins pretty soon. Nothing else has happened. You have 400 mins, and then you get to start your second CC on the low ground. This is actually a scouting worker. I bring him back, but yeah. And as I said before, some people make more Reapers, but instead I get the faster combat shields in order to defend early pushes. In this Reaper, instead of committing it to do that much damage, you usually just take the Watchtower, as opposed to if you made 2 or 3, you could actually run into the base, try to snipe some SCVs over here, and then leave. Now at this point, after the first Reaper, you're constantly making Marines, you've started combat shields, and you're still only on 1 gas, and very soon you're going to, very soon you're going to have the 300 mins necessary to plop down those 2 extra barracks. It's coming up very soon. Here's the first one, and there's the second one. Just like a 1-Rax FE, you follow up your expo with 2 more barracks. And then you continue building SCVs, you continue building Marines, and over here I have this Reaper patrolling between the watchtowers. Regardless, you're using this for map control. As your natural finishes, make sure to morph it into an orbital. There you go. And then as soon as these barracks finish, make sure to morph those and give them reactors. Now if you notice, combat shields is about to finish at 6 minutes, which is very early, so you'll actually only have 5 Marines, but they will have combat shields, which is great because early Banshees would be coming around now, sometimes a Marine Hellion Elevator will be coming out now, and having combat shields is a big leg up against almost all of those early pushes. Reactors go down, NG Bay goes down, Extra Refinery goes down, and Factory goes down all at the same time. So, as soon as you get that 200 gas, you get the 2 reactors, the factory, the NG Bay, and then that 1 Gas Geyser. Those all go down all at the same time. pretty standard, just like the 1-Rax FE, except instead of it being the third gas geyser, you get the natural gas geyser. Obviously, stim is also already started. As soon as these reactors finish, you're going to be constantly making marines, just like you do in almost all builds. 5 marines, make sure to queue those up all the time. And then when this NG bay is done, you can actually afford +1 attack also. Actually, I'm not sure if you can afford one. I believe I cancel this in a second in favor for the faster reactor starport. It's always a good idea. Yeah, I believe I actually do cancel this. You can actually afford that. Sorry, I got that a little too early. You have to get the starport and the factory, getting the reactor first, and then you can start the +1 with the next 100 gas. Regardless, constantly making marines, constantly making SCVs, and making sure that the factory starport get the swap off perfectly on time to start double medevac production. Now, if you notice, faster combat shields also means faster stim. So for almost all 111s that hit, usually you can see them coming with this Reaper, but not always. But regardless, when they actually do hit, I hope I don't lose that Reaper. That's too bad. When they do hit, you'll actually have medevacs already out as well as stim, because this timing is hitting close to a minute and a half earlier than the normal 1-Rax FE timing. So everything is pushed faster in this build, except for the SCVs, and definitely the Marine count is a lot lower. So you'll be defending with better upgrades and better Marines, but there'll be a lot less of them. So that's the pros and cons definitely of this build. After the medevacs are out, which will be upcoming in a second, you get to take map control, you get to deal with all-ins, and you get to just do the normal things that you do with the 1-Rax FE. And then obviously continue upgrades, continue making a tech lab on the factory, start tank production, and all the normal things that you do in Marine tank. The only really strong follow-up after this is going to be bio or Marine tank. If your opponent is going mech, then you can go bio, but otherwise Marine tank is definitely the strongest way to play. And getting on these extra 2 gas geysers give you the gas that you need to start tank production, as well as constantly make out of these barracks. And that, folks, is the build. Again, to recap, it's basically the same as a 1-Rax FE into Marine Medevac, just like Thorzane's TVT build, except you get a 12 barracks after the 10 depot, you get a 13 gas geyser, you can either make the Marine or skip the Marine, but then you get a tech lab on this barracks and start Reaper. You can make either 1 or 3 Reapers and take them for either map control or going in to do some damage, some economical damage. And then you get to start combat shields with the next 100 gas. You get your Expo in there, and then just like the 1-Rax FE, you add on 2 more barracks. You get stim, factory, NG bay, second gas, all around the same time, as well as these reactors. And then once that factory is done, you build the reactor and the starport right next to it. Make sure your starport is very close to that factory so that you can swap them off. When the factory's reactor finishes, you swap off, you get reactored starport, and you start pumping out some medevacs. Now, usually with the 1-Rax FE build, everyone says that the what you're trying to get to, the benchmark you're trying to get to is 50 workers. With this build, however, because you get a later expo, you actually don't have that many workers. You have 47, getting close to the 10-minute mark. So being under by a couple workers versus someone who does a 1-Rax FE is okay, explicitly because you get faster stim, you get faster medevacs, and you get the Reaper. And that, folks, is the build. Thanks for watching.